So I don't know how I've just been near my mic when there's been big leaks, and not that this is necessarily a big leak, but I mean, I know yesterday I was talking about Kawhi Leonard and his partial ACL tear, but now Luka Magic is going to be the cover of NBA 2K22. That's big news. I mean, you can think of it as big news. It could be small news. It's whatever. I'm a huge 2K fan. I've been playing, I know I've said this before, since 2K9 was my first game I really dug into. First one before that was 2K6 when I would literally just play the play now when it was the Pistons Spurs after their championship. Their finals matchup. But this is kind of a big thing because it shows that the leaks were real. I know people were leaking yesterday of like concept art of the NBA 2K22 cover with Luka on it, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it turned out to be like the real cover, and that's kind of really surprising because I really don't know how that leak got out. But I'm actually really happy for that. They're putting a young star on the cover who is, I mean, a dominant player in the league. It seems like other years they kind of just randomly, I mean, maybe not randomly, but it just seems kind of like, okay, they could have picked somebody else. But this is the first year where I'm very happy of the cover athlete. I know last year they picked Zion, where it's like, why'd they pick Zion? He only played how many games his rookie year? John Morant would have been a better fit for that if they wanted to pick a rookie. I don't know if he had any other endorsements through like EA or something like that stopped him. But it's still just interesting overall that they went with Zion instead of all these other young players. They could have went with Luka, even though he might have had something with EA. But they could have even went another route and went with Luka, or sorry, not Luka. They could have went with Tatum, Devin Booker, but I know kind of with recency bias he would be there. But I think last year he wasn't winning, so that wouldn't have made as much sense. But they could have went with John Morant, like I've already said. They could have went with all these other different young players, but they went with a guy who played, I don't remember what it was, like 17 or 20-something games in his rookie year without being super proven yet. And that was just kind of an interesting one. But I want to talk about the 2K cover curse, and it has to do with players leaving. I know in 2K14, LeBron James left the Heat and goes back to the Cleveland after he was on that cover of, was that 2K13? Yeah, I think, no, I just said it was 2K14. And then the next year you had Kevin Durant leaving the Thunder to go to the Warriors after being on the cover of 2K15. 2K17, you had Paul George leaving the Pacers and goes to the Thunder. And then 2K18, you have Kyrie Irving is traded to the Celtics before the game releases. And I know there was a cover of him in the Cleveland uniform. That's when the game was released, but they kind of ended up changing that, obviously, because he was on a whole different team. And one that I found quite hilarious is I didn't actually know there was a Canadian version of 2K18, but DeMar DeRozan was the cover, and then he was traded to the Spurs in a deal that brought Kawhi Leonard up to Toronto. So, I mean, there's quite a history on here. I don't know. It's really interesting to see that the 2K cover has kind of predicted big names leaving. And I know there's been reports about Luka leaving. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen at all. But there's been reports of him being kind of unhappy. And I mean, I don't think that's really true. I think he's going to stay. But that would be hilarious if somehow this cover predicted it right and he just happens to leave the Mavericks and go somewhere else. I just would find that really hilarious. But there's really no way, at least for the next 3 years, is it 2 more years or 3 years, that he'd really be able to leave because he's a restricted free agent. He's probably going to sign that 5-year max anyways, just because, I mean, why wouldn't you want the money? And in this day and age, you can always request a trade, and when you're 4 years into your 5-year or 3 years in even, and then somebody will pay big bucks for you. So you get that massive contract, but you also get to be where you want. But I think the Mavericks are going to do a good job of building around him. So I don't think the 2K curse will come true. But what if it does? I mean, that'd be pretty hilarious. But thank you for joining me on the Ledgie podcast. I'm your host, DJ. Have a great day.